Yet here I stand in Bell and Bloom staring at my phone as my world crumbles. The vintage lamps cast a warm glow over the crystal jewelry displays I'd spent hours arranging, making everything look deceptively normal. My hands shake as I read Daniel's text again. Sorry, but I can't do this anymore. I've moved in with Sophia. I've taken what I need from our accounts. Don't try to contact me. Asterisk. The boutique suddenly feels too small, the air too thick. I grip the edge of the mahogany display case, my knuckles white against the polished wood. The delicate chime of the door signals a customer, but I can't look up, can't move, can't breathe. Just a moment, I manage to say, my voice steadier than I feel. The signs have been there for months, each one a quiet warning I chose to ignore. My mind drifts back to that night 3 weeks ago. Daniel came home after midnight, his collar askew, smelling of unfamiliar perfume. When I asked about his late meeting, his eyes darted away, focusing on anything but me. Client dinner ran long, he'd muttered, brushing past me toward the shower. You shouldn't have waited up. I remember standing in our bedroom, listening to the water run, feeling the distance between us stretch like a physical thing. That was the night I started keeping track. The next day, I found the first piece of evidence. I was organizing receipts in my back office when I discovered the hotel bill from the Renaissance downtown, dated during what was supposed to be his business trip to Chicago. My hands trembled as I slipped it into my desk drawer, starting a collection I prayed I'd never need. Then came the evening at Costello's last week, our favorite restaurant where we'd celebrated every anniversary for the past 15 years. I'd excused myself to the bathroom and taken the long way back, only to freeze at the sound of Daniel's voice from the bar. Everything's arranged, he'd said, his tone hushed and intimate. She won't know until it's done. Yes, I promise. This time, next week. I'd stood there, hidden behind a pillar, my heart pounding as his words confirmed every suspicion. That night, I'd laid awake beside him, studying his profile in the darkness, wondering when my husband had become a stranger. The crystal bracelet in my hands catches the light, sending prisms dancing across the walls. I set it down carefully, methodically, like I haven't just had my life upended. Like I'm not mentally calculating how much he's stolen from our joint accounts. Like I'm not already planning my next move. A customer clears her throat politely, and I finally look up. She's admiring a display of vintage brooches, unaware that she's witnessing the moment my marriage officially ends. I straighten my spine, smooth my blazer, and step forward with a practiced smile. Welcome to Bell and Bloom, I say, as if I haven't just been betrayed by the man I've spent 15 years building a life with. How can I help you today? The next few hours pass in a blur of sales and small talk. I wrap purchases in tissue paper, swipe credit cards, and make easy conversation while my mind works furiously behind the calm facade. Each interaction feels surreal, like I'm watching myself perform in a play while the real me calculates exactly how to dismantle the life Daniel thinks he's escaping. At closing time, I move through my routine with deliberate precision. Each display case is checked twice, every piece of jewelry secured in the safe. I count the day's receipts, update the ledger, and set the security system with steady hands that belie the storm inside me. The neon sign flickers off, casting long shadows across the empty street. My phone feels heavy in my hand as I dial a number I've had saved for months, just in case. The number for Marcus Carter, the city's most ruthless divorce attorney. Marcus Carter's office, a voice answers. This is Evelyn Montgomery, I say, my voice clear and steady. I need to speak with Marcus about initiating proceedings against my husband. I have the evidence we discussed. There's a brief pause. Of course, Mrs. Montgomery. Marcus has been expecting your call. He mentioned you've been gathering documentation? Yes, I reply, my hand resting on my desk drawer where months of evidence waits. Everything's ready. I end the call and look up at my reflection in the boutique window. Behind me, a framed photo of Daniel and me at last year's charity gala catches my eye. We're smiling, his arm around my waist, looking every bit the perfect couple, the perfect lie. The woman in that photo looks naive, trusting, vulnerable. But the woman staring back at me from the window? She's someone else entirely. Someone Daniel never saw coming. I turn away from the photo, my jaw set. Daniel thinks he's orchestrated the perfect escape, leaving me with nothing but memories and empty accounts. But he's forgotten one crucial detail. I've spent the last 15 years building not just a marriage, but an empire. And I've learned that the best revenge isn't served cold. It's served meticulously planned, perfectly timed, and with absolutely no mercy. He has no idea what's coming. The numbers don't lie. I spread the documents across my mahogany desk in Bell and Bloom's back office, each piece of paper another nail in the coffin of my marriage. The vintage lamp casts a warm glow over bank statements, credit card records, and screenshots of Daniel's message evidence I've gathered meticulously over the past 3 months. My hands steady as I cross-reference the transactions. There it is. A $5,000 withdrawal from our joint account on the day he claimed to be in Chicago. The hotel receipt from the Renaissance downtown sits beside it, along with charges from Tiffany and Company and La Perla purchases that never made their way to our home. A birthday gift for Sophia, perhaps? The thought sends bile rising in my throat. "Oh, Daniel," I whisper, tracing a finger over his signature on a lease agreement I discovered just yesterday. "You really thought you covered your tracks." The lease tells its own story. A luxury apartment downtown, prepaid for 6 months using funds from our joint investment account. The same account we'd built together for 15 years, dreaming of early retirement. Now it's funding his new life with her. My phone buzzes a text from Julia, Daniel's sister. "Need to talk. It's important. Can I stop by? Asterisk." I hesitate only a moment before responding, "Come to the boutique. Back entrance. Asterisk." 20 minutes later, Julia's sharp knock echoes through the quiet store. She enters with a thick manila envelope clutched to her chest, her face drawn with worry and something else determination. "I should have told you sooner," she says, settling into the leather chair across from my desk. But I needed to be sure. The envelope hits my desk with a dull thud. Inside, I find more evidence. Photos of Daniel and Sophia at various restaurants, timestamped during his supposed business trips. Bank statements showing transfers to an account I've never seen. Emails between them discussing their future plans that deliberately exclude me. "Margaret called me this morning," Julia says, her voice tight. "She's on the warpath." As if on cue, my phone rings. Margaret's name flashes on the screen, and I answer on speaker, letting Julia witness what we both know is coming. "How dare you!" Margaret's voice crackles with fury. "Daniel told me everything, how you've been monitoring his accounts, tracking his movements. You're destroying his life." I meet Julia's eyes across the desk, and something shifts inside me. "No, Margaret. Daniel destroyed his own life when he decided to steal from me and run off with another woman." "You never deserved him," she hisses. "Sophia understands him in ways you never could." "Sophia understands his credit cards, you mean?" The words slip out before I can stop them, sharp and precise as a surgeon's scalpel. The line goes dead. Julia lets out a low whistle. "Well, that bridge is thoroughly burned." I'm already reaching for my phone again, this time dialing the credit card company. The representative's voice is crisp and professional as I report the fraudulent charges, providing dates and transaction numbers with mechanical precision. Within minutes, Daniel's cards are canceled, his travel plans effectively grounded. "Is it wrong that I hope he's at the airport when he discovers the cards don't work?" Julia asks, a hint of satisfaction in her voice. Before I can answer, my email notification pings. The sender is unfamiliar, whistleblower@protonmail.com. The subject line makes my breath catch. What Daniel Montgomery is really hiding. I click open the email, Julia leaning forward to read over my shoulder. The message is brief, but its implications send a chill down my spine. The money trail doesn't end with Sophia. Check the offshore accounts. I have proof of everything. Asterisk. Julia's sharp intake of breath mirrors my own thoughts. Whatever Daniel's hiding, it's bigger than an affair. And someone out there knows exactly what it is. I close the email and look up at my reflection in the darkened window. The woman staring back at me isn't the same person who walked into this office this morning. She's harder now, sharper, ready. "So," Julia says quietly, "what's our next move?" I gather the documents into neat piles, each stack a weapon in my growing arsenal. Now we find out what else your brother's been hiding. The vintage clock on my wall ticks steadily forward, marking time in a world that shifted on its axis. But for the first time since Daniel's betrayal, I feel the corners of my mouth turning up in something that's not quite a smile. Let him think he's won. Let him believe I'm broken. He has no idea what's coming. The airport terminal gleams under fluorescent lights as I watch Daniel's world unravel through my phone screen. Live social media feeds flood with videos of his meltdown at the check-in counter, his designer suit doing nothing to mask the desperation in his stance. Sophia hovers beside him, her manicured nails drumming against her leather handbag in an anxious rhythm. "I'm sorry, sir," the airline agent says, her voice carrying across the crowded terminal. "But these cards have been reported for fraudulent activity. I cannot process your tickets." Daniel's face flushes deep crimson. "This is ridiculous. I demand to speak to your supervisor." His voice cracks on the last word, betraying the facade of control he's desperately trying to maintain. I lower my phone, a calm settling over me as I stand in the familiar comfort of Bell and Bloom. The vintage lamps cast their warm glow over the crystal displays, grounding me in the empire I've built. My phone buzzes with an incoming call from Marcus. "Evelyn," he says when I answer, "the fraud report has been processed across all accounts. He won't be able to access any of the funds." Good. I move toward my office, where stacks of evidence await our next move. What about the offshore transfers? Already frozen, he's not as clever as he thinks. The security footage from the airport continues to stream across social media. Sophia's perfectly curated image crumbles as she paces in tight circles, mascara smudging beneath her eyes. The comments are ruthless, karma in action, and watch the mistress panic when the money runs dry. I settle into my leather chair, surrounded by the photographs and mementos I've collected over 15 years of marriage. Each one now feels like a piece of evidence, telling the story of a betrayal I should have seen coming. But that's not what matters anymore. What matters is what comes next. Julia arrives just after closing, her heels clicking against the hardwood floors. Daniel's sister carries a thick manila envelope, her face set with determination I recognize from my own mirror. "I found these in Mother's study," she says, spreading documents across my desk. Bank statements, emails, photos, a paper trail of Daniel's deception that stretches back further than even I suspected. He's been planning this for months, Evelyn. Using company funds to set up accounts in Sophia's name. I study each piece of evidence, methodically adding them to my growing collection. "How did Margaret react when you told her?" Julia's laugh is bitter. She's still processing. But finding out he's been embezzling from the family foundation, that's not something even she can ignore. My phone lights up with another notification. A video from the airport shows Daniel attempting to use his corporate card, only to have it declined. The crowd of onlookers has grown, phones raised to capture every moment of his humiliation. This is what he never understood about me. I don't need grand gestures or public revenge. I simply need to step back and let his own actions destroy everything he's built. "Miss Montgomery?" Sarah, my assistant, appears in the doorway. "Michael is here. He says it's urgent." I share a look with Julia. Michael, Daniel's oldest friend and confidant, has chosen an interesting time to make an appearance. "Send him in." Michael enters like a man walking to his own execution, his usual confident swagger replaced by hesitant step. The dim evening light from the windows casts shadows across his face, highlighting the dark circles under his eyes. "Evelyn, I need to explain." I hold up a hand, silencing him. "Sit down, Michael." I retrieve a folder from my desk drawer, one I've been saving for exactly this moment. "Before you continue, I'd like you to look at something." The photos land on the desk between us. Daniel and Michael at the Renaissance Hotel, the same night Daniel claimed to be in Chicago. The timestamp matches perfectly with the hotel receipt I'd found weeks ago. Michael's face drains of color. "You knew," I say, my voice steady. "You helped him plan all of this." I didn't. He swallows hard, his eyes darting between me and Julia. "He said it would be clean, quick, that you'd never even know until it was done." "And you believed him?" Julia's voice drips with disdain. "You really thought our brother could pull this off without leaving a trail?" Michael stumbles out shortly after, leaving the weight of his confession hanging in the air. Julia and I barely have time to process before my phone's up with a news alert. The local station's live stream shows Margaret, Daniel's mother, standing at a podium in the community center where she served as board chair for 20 years. Her hands grip the edges of the podium, knuckles white against the dark wood. As a mother, admitting your child's failures is perhaps the hardest thing you'll ever do. Her voice wavers but doesn't break. But as chair of this foundation, I have a responsibility to address the financial irregularities we've discovered. I watch the screen, barely breathing, as Margaret methodically outlines every manipulation, every lie, every betrayal. The woman who once defended Daniel against any criticism now stands as his most damning accuser. When the broadcast ends, I find myself alone in my office. The weight of everything, the betrayal, the evidence, the victories, both small and large, suddenly crashes over me. My hands shake as I open my desk drawer, pulling out the leather-bound journal I started the night I found that first hotel receipt. Tears blur my vision as I write, not of pain or loss, but of release. Each word feels like stepping out of a cage I didn't know I was in. The boutique is silent around me, but I feel the presence of every person who stood by me. Julia, Marcus, my loyal staff, and now, surprisingly, Margaret. A soft knock at the door makes me look up. Sarah enters with a USB drive in her hand. This just came from IT. They recovered the audio from Daniel's office computer. My heart stutters as I take the drive. This is it, the final piece we've been waiting for. I plug it in with steady hands, and Daniel's voice fills the room, casual and cruel as he details his plans to Sophia. Every transfer, every lie, every step of his carefully planned escape caught in his own words. Send this to Marcus. I tell Sarah, already reaching for my phone. It's time to gather everyone for what comes next. The evidence is assembled, the players are in position, and Daniel's carefully constructed facade is about to shatter completely. Tonight, in the quiet of Bell and Bloom, surrounded by the empire I built and the truth I've uncovered, I feel something shift inside me. The woman Daniel tried to leave powerless and alone is gone. In her place stands someone stronger, someone who knows exactly how to dismantle the house of lies he's built. And tomorrow we begin. Marcus Carter's office smells of leather and authority. I spread the documents across his mahogany desk, bank statements, text messages, hotel receipts, piece of evidence meticulously organized in chronological order. My hands are steady as I lay out the final photo taken by my private investigator. Daniel and Sophia entering the Renaissance Hotel last Thursday, his hand possessively on her lower back. File everything, I tell Marcus. I want the accounts frozen by noon. He studies the evidence, his expression hardening. This is excellent work, Evelyn. Daniel won't know what hit him. I check my watch. 8:47 a.m. By now, Daniel should be walking into his morning meeting, unaware that his world is about to implode. My phone buzzes. A news alert. I click the link, and there he is, standing at a podium in the downtown Marriott's conference room. His tie is crooked, his usual polish absent as he addresses the hastily gathered press. These allegations are completely false, he's saying, but his voice wavers. My wife Isis attempting to destroy my reputation out of spite. I've done nothing wrong. Julia sends me a text. Asterisk. He's drowning. Asterisk. I watch as a reporter raises her hand. Mr. Montgomery, can you explain the series of large withdrawals from your joint accounts last week? And your stay at the Renaissance Hotel with Miss Parker while you were supposedly in Chicago? Daniel's face flushes. He tugs at his collar, eyes darting. Those withdrawals were legitimate business expenses, and two never stayed at the Renaissance. That's absurd. Another text from Julia. Uploading the evidence now. Asterisk. I switch to Twitter and watch as number exposed Daniel starts trending. Hotel receipts, bank statements, photos, everything we've gathered over months appears in a coordinated digital avalanche. The comment sections explode. Daniel's carefully constructed image crumbles in real time. Back at Bell and Bloom, Julia has transformed my office into a command center. She sits at my desk, coordinating with our growing coalition of allies. 3 laptops display different social media feeds while she rapidly types on her phone. Claire from accounting just sent over 5 years of irregular expense reports, Julia says, not looking up. And Thomas is ready to go public about the Chicago deal. The door chimes and Sarah Martinez, Daniel's former executive assistant, walks in. Her face is set with determination as she places a USB drive on my desk. Everything I documented over the last 2 years she says. The altered meeting minutes, the business dinners that never happened, it's all here. Thank you, Sarah. I squeeze her hand. I know this isn't easy. He deserves what's coming, she replies firmly. We all saw who he really was. We just didn't want to believe it. My phone rings. It's Margaret, Daniel's mother. I let it go to voicemail. She's chosen her side, and I have more important matters to handle. Bell and Bloom, good morning. I answer the boutique's line, my voice perfectly steady. Evelyn, it's Rachel Chen from the Business Association. We need to discuss Daniel's position on the board. Are you still attending tonight's event? Wouldn't miss it, I reply, a smile in my voice. I have some things to share with the community. The afternoon passes in a blur of legal filings and strategic moves. I help customers at the boutique, wrap delicate purchases in tissue paper, all while my phone lights up with notifications. Daniel's desperate attempts to control the narrative backfire spectacularly. Each statement he makes is immediately contradicted by evidence we release, precision-timed for maximum impact. More allies arrive throughout the day. James from the investment firm, bearing proof of Daniel's creative accounting. Lisa from the country club, with screenshots of his indiscreet messages to Sophia. Even Peter, Daniel's college roommate, appears with stories he can no longer keep quiet. At 6, I lock up the boutique and head to the Business Association event. The grand ballroom of the Civic Center buzzes with tension. I spot Daniel across the room, huddled with his remaining allies. Their circle has grown noticeably smaller. State Senator Wilson approaches me, his handshake firm. Evelyn, I believe we need to have a discussion about the Urban Development Committee, in light of recent revelations. Revelations. I meet his gaze steadily. Of course, Senator. I think you'll find I have some valuable insights to share. The evening unfolds exactly as planned. One by one, Daniel's business associates distance themselves. I watch from across the room as he becomes increasingly isolated, his phone clutched like a lifeline. When he takes the stage to give his scheduled remarks, his voice trembles. I want to address the accusations, he begins. But a murmur runs through the crowd as phones light up with notifications. Right on schedule. A video plays on hundreds of screens. Daniel, in his office, recorded 3 months ago, outlining his entire scheme to Sophia. Asterisk. Evelyn won't know what hit her. Asterisk, his recorded voice says. Asterisk. Once the accounts are emptied. Asterisk. The crowd's reaction is immediate. Daniel freezes on stage, his face ashen as he recognizes his own words. In the back of the room, I watch as his last remaining supporters slip quietly away. I step into the ladies' room, checking my lipstick in the mirror. My phone buzzes with a text from Marcus. Final piece of evidence received. Ready when you are. Asterisk. I smile at my reflection, remembering the naive woman I was just months ago. She's gone now, replaced by someone stronger. Someone Daniel never saw coming. The night isn't over. In my purse, a sealed envelope contains the evidence I've saved for last, the secret that will destroy not just Daniel's reputation, but his entire carefully constructed world. He has no idea it exists, but he's about to find out. My hands don't shake as I watch Daniel step up to the podium. The hotel ballroom buzzes with whispers and camera flashes, reporters leaning forward in their seats like vultures awaiting carrion. Sophia clutches his arm, her red lacquered nails digging into his suit jacket. They're trying so hard to look united, controlled. But I see the sweat beating at Daniel's temples, the slight tremor in his voice as he begins his rehearsed speech. The allegations against me are completely false, he declares, jaw tight. My wife's vindictive campaign. A reporter from the Chronicle cuts in. Mr. Montgomery, can you explain the hotel receipts showing you were in town during your supposed Chicago business trip? Another voice rises. What about the wire transfers to offshore accounts? The questions come rapid fire now, each one striking like arrows. Daniel's face reddens as he fumbles through denials. Beside him, Sophia's perfectly arranged features begin to crack. When she reaches for the microphone, her hand trembles. From my seat in the back row, I watch their carefully constructed facade crumble in real time. My phone vibrates another Twitter notification. The hashtag number Montgomery scandal is trending, filled with clips of Daniel's increasingly desperate responses. The public isn't buying what he's selling anymore. Later that afternoon, I sit in the dimly lit conference room of Carter and Associates, watching the surveillance footage from the press conference play on repeat. Marcus Carter's lips curve into a predatory smile as he turns to face me. "They're desperate," he says, shuffling through a stack of documents. "Their legal team just filed a countersuit claiming defamation, and their PR firm is pushing sponsored posts calling you unstable." I lean back in my chair, unfazed. "Let them waste their money. We have everything we need." Marcus nods, patting the thick folder before him. Every bank statement, every hotel receipt, every text message, and that audio recording. His smile widens. "It's beautiful, Evelyn. Tomorrow's hearing will be a bloodbath." The courtroom is packed the next morning. I feel the weight of every eye as I take my seat at the plaintiff's table. Daniel and Sophia sit across the aisle, their new legal team clustered around them like a shield. The judge enters, and the room falls silent. What happens next is like watching a masterclass in legal devastation. Marcus presents our evidence with surgical precision. Each exhibit hits its mark: the financial records showing systematic theft, the text messages revealing their planned escape, the damning audio of Daniel confessing everything to Sophia at Costello's bar. I keep my expression neutral, but inside, I savor every flinch, every bead of sweat rolling down Daniel's neck. When Marcus plays the recording, Sophia's face goes ash white. The jury's expressions shift from interest to disgust as Daniel's voice fills the courtroom. Asterisk. Everything's arranged. Once I clean out the accounts, she'll have nothing. No way to fight back. Asterisk. The judge's gavel comes down like thunder. Assets frozen. Emergency injunction granted. As security escorts a shouting Daniel from the courtroom, I finally allow myself a small smile. But I'm not done yet. That evening, I stand before a packed community forum, the same evidence displayed on screens behind me. My voice carries clearly through the room as I detail every betrayal, every calculated move Daniel and Sophia made. The audience sits in stunned silence, watching the foundation of Daniel's reputation dissolve. "He didn't just betray our marriage," I tell them, my tone steady. "He betrayed every person in this room who trusted him with their investments, their futures." Photographs flash behind me: Daniel at charity galas, accepting community leadership awards, all while systematically draining our accounts and his clients' funds. Each image now serves as evidence of his hypocrisy. The final blow comes when the judge issues her ruling the next day. The courtroom falls silent as she speaks, her words precise and cutting. The court finds overwhelming evidence of systematic fraud and financial exploitation. All assets held by Daniel Montgomery are hereby frozen. Full restitution to Mrs. Montgomery and affected parties is ordered, effective immediately. The gavel strikes. In that moment, 15 years of manipulation and betrayal crystallize into perfect justice. As video of the verdict spreads across social media, I stand outside the courthouse, surrounded by supporters and cameras. Daniel's empire of lies crumbles in real time, each share and retweet another nail in his coffin. The ripples spread quickly. Within hours, Daniel's former business partners issue public statements distancing themselves. His country club membership is revoked. The charity boards he sat on quietly remove his name from their websites. Meanwhile, Bell and Bloom's social media followers triple, with messages of support flooding my inbox. Local news stations request interviews, framing me as a symbol of resilience against financial abuse. A week later, Bell and Bloom hosts a private event celebration of new beginnings. The boutique sparkles with extra lighting I've installed, crystal glasses catching the glow. Community leaders, loyal customers, and friends fill the space, their chatter creating a warm hum of victory. Julia, Daniel's sister, approaches me with tears in her eyes. "You did what none of us could," she says, squeezing my hand. "You exposed him for what he really is." The mayor steps forward to make a toast, raising her glass. "To Evelyn Montgomery," she announces, "who showed us all that justice isn't just a word, it's an action." As applause fills the boutique, I feel the weight of the past months lifting. This is more than revenge. It's redemption, revolution, rebirth. But later, as the last guests leave, and I begin closing up, an envelope slides under the door. Inside, a single sheet of paper bears a cryptic message, asterisk. "There's more to Daniel's past than you know. This isn't over. Asterisk." I tuck the note into my desk drawer. a slight smile playing at my lips. Perhaps the hunt isn't quite finished after all. Morning light streams through Bell and Bloom's newly installed floor-to-ceiling windows, casting prismatic rainbows across our expanded showroom floor. I pause at the entrance, taking in the quiet moment before we open. The boutique has transformed as much as I have gone, are the cramped aisles and dim lighting, replaced by open spaces and crystal chandeliers that make every piece sparkle. "Morning, Evelyn," Sarah calls out, emerging from the back room with fresh inventory. She's one of 3 new hires I've brought on to handle our growing customer base. The trunk show pieces just arrived from Paris. I smile, remembering a time when international shipping fees would have made me break into a cold sweat. Perfect timing. Let's set up the preview area for tomorrow's event. The morning unfolds in a whirlwind of activity. I move through the store with purpose, greeting regular customers by name, offering styling advice, and coordinating with my team. Every interaction flows naturally, unmarred by the shadows of past betrayals. The confidence in my voice, the straightness of my spine, these aren't masks I wear anymore. They're simply who I am. My phone buzzes with a message from Marcus, my attorney. Another successful settlement from one of Daniel's hidden accounts. I close the notification without opening it. Those victories, while sweet, no longer define my days. Standing at the vintage jewelry counter, the same spot where I received Daniel's goodbye text over a year ago, I'm struck by how different everything feels. The mahogany display case still gleams, but now it showcases pieces I've personally curated from artisans across Europe. The walls, once bare, feature local artwork and inspirational quotes that remind me of how far I've come. "Miss Montgomery?" A tentative voice pulls me from my thoughts. I turn to find a young woman, perhaps early 30s, clutching her purse like a lifeline. I recognize that look in her eyes. I used to see it in my mirror. "Isabella, right? Please call me Evelyn." I gesture toward my office. "Would you like some tea?" She nods, following me to the private consultation area I've created for moments exactly like this. The space is warm and inviting, with comfortable chairs and soft lighting. I close the door, giving us privacy from the bustling showroom. "I can't believe you're actually meeting with me," Isabella says, perching on the edge of her seat. "After reading about your story in Business Weekly, you realize you're not alone." I finish gently, pouring us both cups of Earl Grey. "Tell me what's happening." For the next hour, Isabella shares her story, a familiar tale of gaslighting and financial manipulation by her business partner. I listen, offering practical advice when needed, but mostly giving her the space to be heard. When she mentions gathering evidence, I share my own experience with documentation and legal preparation. "I thought I was crazy for keeping screenshots," she admits, wiping away tears. "You're not crazy," I say firmly. "You're smart, and you're stronger than you know." The boutique transforms as evening approaches, fairy lights twinkling to life as my team prepares for our annual community gathering. What started as a small celebration has grown into something magical. The space fills with familiar faces, loyal customers who stood by me, fellow business owners who offered support, even former critics who've become allies. Julia, Daniel's sister, arrives early to help arrange the catering. She catches my eye and grins, both of us remembering how she showed up at my door with a box of damning evidence against her own brother. Now she's my partner in the coastal expansion project. "Remember when you thought you'd have to sell this place?" she asks, arranging fresh flowers in vintage vases. I laugh, the sound easy and genuine. Now we're opening 3 more. Margaret's entrance creates a ripple of warm greetings. Daniel's mother has become an unexpected cornerstone of our community, her own journey of breaking free from manipulation inspiring others. She makes her way through the crowd, stopping to hug Isabella, who stayed to join the celebration. To Evelyn, Margaret raises her glass later in the evening, her voice carrying across the room. Who showed us all that the end of one story is just the beginning of a better one? The cheers and clinking glasses fill the space with joy, but it's the conversations that follow that matter most. Women sharing their own stories of triumph, offering support to those still finding their way, building connections that will last beyond this evening. Later, I stand on the boutique's newly added balcony, watching the sunset paint the city in shades of possibility. My journal rests open on the small table beside me, its pages filled with plans for our upcoming expansion to the coast. A gentle breeze carries the scent of blooming jasmine from the rooftop garden, another dream realized. The woman I was a year ago would never have imagined this moment. She was too busy surviving to envision thriving. But standing here now, I understand that freedom isn't just about escaping what holds you back. It's about creating something new, something entirely yours. I close my journal and take one last look at the cityscape before heading inside. Tomorrow brings new challenges, new opportunities, new chances to help others find their own path to freedom. And I'm ready for all of it.